Oh, we'll be silly.
No.
I'm happy to be silly.
Yeah.
Dean, I don't give a flying flip if it's Dylan Moore. You sit your ass at the Shabbos table till 10 o'clock and then you can go do your thing. Ben Key. You can choose anything.
Yeah.
I know.
No, we need a forward.
We need a forward.
I might... Wait, hold on. I'm not talking. Ben Keys.
Yeah.
What? Why?
I've actually heard the only thing less likely than a North Melbourne win is Chase making a sale at work.
What's that? That's
Backs. Yeah.
Mids, forwards.
Harry. Ooh, Adams, 89.
Welcome back to Dawson Toss, Season 5, Episode 11. I think I'm right there. I was about to say 10. But Dean, you asked me last week about our total episodes, and I think we're up to 76 now. You thought we were near the ton, but not quite. We had a few quiet seasons early. I think there was only 8 or 9 episodes. But we're getting there. Hopefully we get to the ton. Otherwise, how was your weeks?
Yeah, pretty good. I thought we'd be in the 90s, but then again, 2022, coming out of COVID, we only did the 8 or 9, which had we done a full season, we would have been pushing to raise the bat.
It was VC, yeah. Cut us some slack.
Yeah. Fair enough. But nah, good week. Good win against you, Chase. Your mob.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Just on last week's pod, we had Kobe on, but it was a great episode. Yeah. Kobe gave us some great insights. And I think it's only the third time we've actually been us three this year in 11 episodes. So
how many, sorry?
Well, this is our 11th episode, and it's the third time, I reckon, just us three.
Really?
Yes. You've both been away.
Yeah.
Dean's about to go under the knife again, so...
Yeah.
Bless up.
But for the betterment of the long term, for the betterment of monotone.
Yes, hopefully after next week my voice will be a bit clearer, I'll be less congested, and get some consistency in me. Nice.
I did go to the footy. Dean couldn't make it, and I was... I don't really know what to say. Like, I guess I was content with the first 3 quarters, but at the same time, very disappointed that we still can't convert. We've had the same problems for 3 years. Anyway, at the end of the game, went to the station and was greeted by none other than Shag. The face you wanted to see after...
That's forced.
It's not forced. What do you mean? It was very random.
Dean mentioned just before we started, like, Shag's not getting a mention this
Yeah, and
week.
I said he is because I saw him, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, what's he going to give me? What content is he going to give me? Didn't give me much.
What do you say?
Well, now he's on
Good
there.
win. Good win, Chase.
Yeah, good win.
How's that for a loss or something?
He wasn't that happy, as I said before. Like, he isn't enjoying the season despite the 7-2 start.
Oh, well, now that we're on the topic, at the Richmond game last week, I was next to him in the bays and was speaking to him at halftime, and he's like, "All right, I'm ready to leave." No, I'd only just got there in the second quarter. I'm like, "What do you mean you're
He's
ready?
ready to leave the game.
What do you mean you're ready to leave?" He's like, "Oh, it's a boring game. Like, may as well just go home." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like, we're winning."
He just
In the
didn't want
second
to watch
quarter.
it.
Then eventually he left in the fourth, and like, I just
Really?
said bye. But like, maybe he's just very conservative.
Can I have my Shag moment?
Yeah,
Sure.
go on.
Saturday night, after you saw him on the train, one of the all-time stacks on Shag.
Yes.
I reckon there were about 8 boys stacked on, and I had my ass on his head and just let one rip. It was brilliant.
Nice. Shag was good.
Just as we come to a wrap on Shag, I'm sure he might hear this somehow. Once again on the weekend, he's like, why do you keep posting me? And I'm like, Shag, once again, I'm yet to mention you, and I don't have control of what gets posted
Editing
and what
purposes.
doesn't. But he takes it out of me. So Shag, if you're hearing for this, come for Chase.
Thing is, he never like complains to me. Like when I put a story up of him, he's like, "Haha, nice." Like, he didn't complain.
And he's giving it to Dean in the DMs or in person.
Yeah. The one thing on the footy is, in the past, I've gone to games and I've had moments where I've just like fell in love with a player, and it's happened with Jesse Hogan. It's happened with Clayton Oliver, and I think Saturday was another moment for me where I started to fall in love with a new player, and that is Harvey Langford. There's a lot of talk about Joel Frazier being the right-footed Bont. Well, we have a left-footed Bont, and that is Harvey Langford. When a lot of other senior players were overawed by the pressure and missing, he just was not phased at all, was binning them, has such good hands overhead. He just understands it. He just executes the basics so well, but then has a lot of other attributes similar to Marcus Bontempelli, and I'm just very excited about this prospect and what he's going to be.
I think you've been in love with him for about 5 months now,
Yeah.
6 months. December, our little getaway holiday. That's all you'd mentioned. You were hoping we'd run into him in his local town. Or I saw you saw that he did an ice bath nearby, and you wanted to go to the ice bath place to see him. So I don't think it's started now.
True.
All of a sudden, it's been a build up of time.
Yeah, we win Mount
It
Martha.
doesn't help that
that's
Clary's Clary, and
Yeah. Well, when he was going...
you're finding someone else to attach to now.
Yeah, I was actually getting emotional when he kicked a goal and he went off to the bench and the MCC's giving him a round of applause. And I was like, gee, 9 years ago, that was Clary in his first game getting applauded by the MCC. And now Clary's at his lowest, but then there's this new star emerging. Almost brought me to tears. But I'm super excited about what Harvey's going to bring. Hawthorn, I don't know. Like, you're 7-2, but I don't know really where you're at. Over the last few weeks, you've really just scraped by. Dean, what's your assessment of it?
So, I think it's the sign of a good team when you have a bit of a lull in those rounds. 4-7 against West Coast, Richmond, Melbourne, bottom 4 teams.
Yeah, 5 or 4.
5. I just think we're just getting the job done. We're nowhere near our best. Our inaccuracy is probably an issue, but like it's not panic stations yet. And I think we'll lose against Gold Coast just because they get that acclimatisation the week before and they won every game in Darwin or whatnot. The AFL wants to do whatever they can to give Gold Coast a win. Point is, but yeah, I don't know. I just reckon there's like no need to react right now.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know if AFL want to give Gold Coast everything they can. How does that benefit the AFL?
So
Not really bringing in much.
Well, they need to show that their investment in Queensland football has paid dividends, and right now it hasn't. They haven't made finals in 10 years. So
Fair
they
enough.
give them the easy start to the season. Like Dimmer's the coach. I'm not saying that's the AFL, but you give them to Darwin, make a little hub for them. Like do whatever you can to get them to finals. But they're genuinely a finals team, I think.
Okay.
Not saying they'll make it, but they won't look out of place in a final.
Where are they currently sitting?
I think they're top 4.
Yeah, with
Should
a
be.
game in hand as
Yeah.
well.
I have had an easier run. I do believe so. Yeah, it's a real wait and see with Gold Coast. Like I'm not sure. The loss against Brisbane was like, oh, that's just Gold Coast. Like,
Yeah.
But then they go and beat the Dogs in Darwin, and you're like, oh, yeah, fair enough.
At what point in the season can you say, like, yeah, this team is a contender? Because if we were to go back to the ladder this time last year, I believe Carlton were first.
So they were up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a point on this a little bit later, actually.
Okay,
But no, I like your call is that, yeah, it's
It
too
doesn't-
early.
It doesn't say much. You know, you can be first, second, third at this point of the year, and you're obviously not guaranteed anything, and it just doesn't say much towards the postseason.
Yeah. Well, on that Dogs Gold Coast game, we were obviously all out on Saturday night and a little bit intoxicated. And Ollie put the games on his phone, and we watched the end of the showdown.
Ollie's so good like that.
Yeah, he's good. He gets it, Ollie. He just gets it. The good man. So he puts on the showdown, and like my head's spinning a little bit, so I'm not really processing exactly what's going on. And I kind of just accept like where the scores are at. Close game, Adelaide hold on. And then I look at the stats and I'm like, Butters, Wines, Rosie, all 30 plus disposals. Dawson 14, Rankin 17, Saligo 16. Like none of the Adelaide boys like touched it, yet they won. And then the same thing happened with the Gold Coast Bulldogs game. I looked at the stats and like Bont's dominating, Libbers getting in there, Fraser, Matt Kennedy, and then Anderson and Rowell are quiet and Gold Coast win. But my brain couldn't really process that at the time because of external factors. Or
Like
internal
fantasy?
factors. No, well, yes, fantasy was obviously at play.
No, it wasn't. You
it's a
deleted
brain-
the app out of Rage
Yeah,
Bait.
it's true. It was a good thing though,
It's
Dean.
a
I
brain
needed
rot
it.
outlook to think that there's such strong correlation between stats and winning. Or disposals
No.
and winning.
No, I understand. I'm not saying like, oh, like how the hell do they win? That doesn't make sense. I'm just saying when you have your best players playing at their floor like that, like Dawson 14 disposals is unheard of, and then your best players are still dominating. Like Rosie won the medal. It's just interesting to see how that played out.
Okay.
But I didn't process that at the time.
Even Carlton, Walsh had a really good game on Friday night, but only had the 21 or something. Hewitt had less touches than usual, but they just used the ball well, and I think it shows like it takes a team as well. It's not because clearly you'd think if they were losing the disposals, they were probably losing clearance.
Yeah.
Unless these other guys were going around the ground and beating them. But yeah, I just thought Adelaide's backline really stood up. Keane, Thilthorpe up forward. Wow.
Yeah, he is a monster. Dean, do you think with Willie Rioli that changes the outcome at all?
I reckon he has those moments. Talk about an impact player. He certainly knows how to make an impact, but with the ball, he only needs it 5 times. He would have done something. Like, yeah.
What?
Nah, Willie Early.
Oh, yeah, showing it. And then I guess the other question is, what did you make of the way the AFL dealt with the last week of Willie Rioli's accused threats and the racial undertones potentially behind it?
Oh, it was a complete farce last week. Last week, Monday, I don't know. Did we discuss it? Probably not.
I don't think... No, we went over it because it kind of blew up on the Tuesday after the podcast.
Yeah.
We didn't really touch on it.
Yeah, so you look at it in chronological order. Just last week, not his previous threats and Instagram posts and whatnot, but they come out with a statement to remind the players of respectful communication. It's just a joke, really.
Yeah, what?
And then Willie withdraws, obviously. Wouldn't have been his choice. Port would have done that. And then the AFL come out and like quietly say we've suspended him for a game. But did you notice there was no like statement? There was no Andrew Dillon press conference, Laura Kane press conference. And that's what we've been after for years about umpiring, suspensions. We just want like to put a face to these rules and get some clarity.
Completely agree.
I believe... Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go, Brodie.
I believe they were asking Zach Reid post-game, what were your thoughts on the whole Willie Rioli and Archie Roberts situation. I didn't know about myself. I didn't know there was anything between them. But as a player, like if something had happened, then they obviously know. So he just kind of like didn't say anything for a few seconds and goes, "Oh yeah, didn't know about that. Can't really make a comment on that. That's it for now." He obviously knew about it.
Yeah.
So. But
Wouldn't have much media in his time. Yeah.
No, how many players has Willie Rioli gone after? This guy's in his second year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach Reid, actually.
Yeah,
He's been very
deserves
good.
it. Really deserves it. We obviously potted him when you said, would any of these Essendon backs get a game in another team? And I think developmental key position backman, it really depends about system. Like you plug Zach Reid in Geelong right now, he'd be looking like a star. And the fact he's doing that in Essendon's undermanned backline, like, deserves his flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, I put out before the season, like, which one of these Essendon top 10 picks are going to break out, and I think we probably have the answer. Also, Nate Caddy has been very impressive. I think he's got a very promising future. Just back on the Willie Rioli incidents, and I guess from our point of view, from an outsider looking in, it's a little bit speculative. Like, we don't know exactly what was said. We don't know everything. But the way the AFL handled it, I thought was an absolute farce and also an embarrassment. And then they think they made the situation a lot worse than it needed to be. The AFL knows what happened. Or like they've obviously communicated with the players and the club, so they know what happened. They need to come out and say, Willie Rioli did the wrong thing. He's being sanctioned for it. Or Willie Rioli didn't. What Willie Rioli did was fine. And there's no sanction. But they didn't say that. They kind of just let it play out and let it simmer. And then there was a lot of scrutiny, so they gave him the suspension. That just made it completely worse because for the time that they didn't do anything about it, people are having a go at Willie Rioli. And then after, when they did suspend him, even though he took the week off, there's more scrutiny. So just come out and say it's right or it's wrong.
I find it very entertaining that there's an AFL player that's going around in-game, like, threatening players, like, to watch their back and stuff. And, I assumed it was only happening with Bailey Dale, but once Bulldogs released their statement saying that one of their players had been threatened, there were 3 other teams that came out and said the same thing. Like, that's crazy. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. I just think the leadership of the AFL is so poor, and they're just lucky that footy is such a great sport.
We don't know what goes on behind the scenes without the media.
Yes, but it's not about that.
Because they're very cautious and fickle with how they deal with themselves in the media. So you can't really see what's going on behind closed doors. They're probably ripped into him or leadership at Port Adelaide to say, like, this is not on. But then to the public, they smooth it out a bit.
Yes, that's probably right. But also the point of leadership is to influence your community. And when there's not clear messaging from leadership, that's poor leadership. It doesn't matter what happened behind the scenes. Ultimately, you need to send a message to the competition and to the members. And they didn't do that in an effective manner. That's poor leadership.
It's weird. It's on 2 weeks in a row now with the whole thing at Freo.
With Freo.
With
Alex Pearce. Yeah. Well, that was Dean's Let's Not Be Silly last week.
Yeah, it's just been quiet.
Like, we speak on behalf of fans, but as a fan, it's just demoralising. Like, you're getting played with, really. And we see it in a lot of facets of the game. Chris Scott acting like he doesn't know there's an injury list every week. The late changes from him, the lack of leadership and statements from the AFL. Like, as a fan, you invest so much into the game and a lot of mental strain as well. Chase, you've been very...
I actually, on Saturday, maybe I had too much coffee, but, like, I was shaking the whole game.
No.
It's not good for me.
It's just like...
It's really unhealthy.
You have too much coffee, bro.
Yeah, like, why do you care when you get treated like that, really?
I don't know. Sometimes, footy is just one of those things that it's just a constant in your life. You can't really get rid of it.
Before, they get lucky the game's in a great state. It was the closest round in 55 years. The cumulative margin.
Is that Doss's stat?
We can, yeah.
You can coin it.
Claim it.
The accumulative margin on average... Well, no, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The average margin was 10.3 points per game.
How good were the Sunday games as well? I mean, we talk about Sunday footy. There's legs to this Sunday footy stuff. And 320 is just a beautiful time. Melbourne have the next 3 Sunday 320s. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Park your ass on the couch. Maybe go to some of the games.
Yeah, well, I won't be going to the Gabba, but I'll be going to the one in Melbourne, Petrarca's 200.
I've said it before, Sunday footy is like, Chase, you're like Moses leading everyone. I'm right behind you. Like, you fully dragged me along. I'm all for it. Make Sunday footy great again. It's so good. Last night as well, like, we had a Mother's Day dinner and Stiglitz was there and we were all watching the footy, close game. Everyone's barracking for North. Like, so much better than a Freo 60 to 45 to finish your week.
Yeah, I guess the AFL can't control that, and they got lucky that North kept up with Brisbane. But yeah, I was at my Mother's Day dinner as well, and I had the phone under the table, was just watching. But also, like, on that North Brisbane game, like, great game, and credit to North for
sticking in.
Yeah, like, to compete with the reigning premiers. And I'm not really critical of what North are building, but they're just missing a match winner. North, they're missing one individual that, in a close game, is just going to say, boys, I'm bringing home the 4 points.
Damn, well, you thought he was going to be LDU.
I know.
I was like, it was perfect. It was
had
too good
that-
to be true. He had the breakaway from the tackle, running inside 50. Looked really good. Had a bit of time to himself and just missed it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be LDU. And to be honest, it should be LDU.
That should be, you asked for the match winner and he's probably the guy.
I sound like a broken record, but it should be Harley Reid. Don't beat Gold Coast in the last round of 2022 and you have Harley Reid. I don't know how they stuffed that up.
Yeah, well, I think we just have to move on from that. Like, I agree.
But
Dean, it's going to be one of those.
the biggest sliding
It's going to be one of those
doors.
posts in like 5 years' time, like the what if.
I know, but it's a crazy what if. Like, you've lost the whole year. And they say, oh, that'll be good for the off season, for the culture. They've won one
Hasn't done
game
anything.
2 years later. Shame, though. So close.
Yeah.
Also, Darling, I know that's a tough shot, but that's what he's recruited to the club for. Luke Parker stood up.
Yeah, Parker. I thought Parker, maybe with the experience, he missed a shot in the last quarter.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be harsh on Constante. He's only played a handful of games. But you just got to give that handball to Stevens and just find a mark inside 50 in that last play. And that's what they're missing. That's why they've had so many honourable losses, is because they're building something and they've got the talent. But at the end of the day, when the pressure's on in the last few minutes, They don't know how to win a game.
Well, that'll
That
come,
comes
and
with experience.
I think the young guys will.
But somebody has to start it. Like, you're saying it'll come. Like, when's it going to come? Like, who's going to be the guy that's going to break this deadlock?
I think
George Wardlaw. They look a 10 times better team with him out there.
did he play really well?
He was
Yeah,
good.
he's ferocious.
Just contested disposals and tackles and all that. Yeah.
Just his presence, like
Yeah.
you walk taller with George by your side.
No, yeah, he's very good. Explosive. He can jump as well. He almost took...
Yeah, he
took a
can
hang up.
dunk.
He can dunk?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
he
played
can
him in basketball growing up. Well, I've never seen a vert like him before. It was crazy.
White man can't jump. Maybe he can.
And the other Sunday 320 game was arguably match of the round, even though there were so many good ones. The Geelong Giants game. I don't know if I tipped Giants last week, but that's 5 in a row at GMHBA Stadium, which is a fortress for Geelong. It's just a very niche and crazy stat that the Giants have, that they've got the wood over Geelong down at the Cattery. Jesse Hogan kicked 7 goals. Always going to love Jesse Hogan, but it hurts when Melbourne only kicks 7 goals. And we had the opportunity to get Jesse back.
You did, and you had the opportunity to not get rid of him.
Nah, I don't think... I don't think so. We got Stephen May and won a premiership, so I don't think that's necessarily the poor decision. It's rather not getting him back.
I actually was watching the North game for longer than I should have before I flicked back to GWS Geelong. But yeah, Geelong are really missing Stewart and Henry, but I wouldn't... Like, you still back them in finals. I don't know why, but... Like, I wasn't less confident in Geelong from that game, and it's good to see the Giants back. They needed to win.
Bailey Smith is putting up his stocks for Recruit of the Year. He has been very good pickup for Geelong, and on paper, their midfield hasn't been great, even though they've still made prelims, but I feel like Bailey Smith is the class that they needed in the middle. Like, you're not going to win a premiership with Tom Atkins and Jack Bowes. You need the class of someone like Bailey Smith, and he's putting up some crazy numbers.
It's funny because I feel like there were quite a few people that doubted his ability to fit into the Geelong roster, but I think majority of people forgot how good this guy was pre-ACL and drug allegations. Like, literally one of the best midfielders each week for Bulldogs behind Bontempelli. Was a gun. He was 22 years old as well at the time, had so much potential, and then obviously those two major factors would have impacted him, and then he struggled for the next 12 to 18 months at Bulldogs. So I'm not surprised that he's found this form again, and yeah, where would you say he's in the Brownlow at the moment? He'd definitely
About there. Yeah,
top
probably top
3, top 5.
I'd say so. Not that I really...
Not bad for a recruit.
Where's he in the Coaches Awards?
I will see after today's votes, but probably got...
I love Ollie Dempsey.
He's good.
He's just so good. Like, he's so dangerous inside 50 as well. Like, he's just an absolute goal sneak,
very
freak
clever.
athlete, just a great player. Like, you'd want him on your team. Any team would want to play like him.
So why are Geelong so inconsistent at the moment? They can't pair together 2 wins in a row at the moment. You know, they lost to
don't
Carlton. They beat Collingwood in a ripper game. They were incredible, and then they lose to GWS.
I think it just comes down to matchups. Like,
And I still think they're one of the top teams in the league. That's the weird thing.
they'll be okay, but their record's probably not great. They what are they 5-4 or something, or maybe 6-3? Probably 5-4. I don't know. Like, yeah, like everyone kind of just accepts that Geelong will get there
5-4.
throughout to the end of the year. But Brodie, I wanted to say something on
James.
Collingwood, and this is probably going to be controversial, and potentially I'm putting myself on a cross here.
Oh, you've never done that before.
No, I have. And no one was critical of Sydney last year when they were 10-1. No one was critical of Melbourne when they were 10-0
Correct.
in Melbourne in 2022. No one was really critical of Carlton when they were second at round 16. And no one's critical of Collingwood when they're 8-1. 7-2 at the moment and top 2. But I'm going to say something, and it may not be a huge concern.
It's a learning curve. You just mentioned 3 teams that didn't perform in the grand final or finals when it mattered, correct?
Yes. Now, but my issue with Collingwood is something a little bit specific, and it's come from my frustration out of 2 of my fantasy players, in Pat Lipinski and Dan Houston. And as a result, I've done a bit of studying of the game and trying to understand, why are these players not touching the ball? And against Fremantle on Thursday night, I was able to further understand what's going on. And Collingwood completely neglect the corridor and they completely neglect the switch, which means they play down the interchange side, which means Jack Crisp is getting most of the ball on his wing, and Dan Houston is often skipped in the passage of play. Like, he's more of a kicker. He's the one that takes that daring kick in the middle.
In the back line at the moment.
So it's not a concern necessarily for Collingwood right now. They're winning games, but I'm just thinking, is this a game plan that could potentially be predictable, and is it something that other teams are going to work out? Because they're so good at winning contests down the line. Darcy Cameron has been such a good asset for them. And then they love that turnover on the top of their D50 where they transition quick the other way, get it out the back to Bobby Hill and Jamie Elliott. But Melbourne played a very similar game style in 2022 where we just went down the line. Like, we get a kick out, we went down the line, just backed our contest. And Collingwood have probably got better assets to play that way. But I just have a feeling that it's going to get predictable and they're going to get found out. Having said that, Craig McRae is probably 2 steps ahead. He's probably got plans further down the track. But it's just a watch on Collingwood where I'm not sure they're going as well as everyone thinks. And also a watch on Dan Houston. Like, why... Like, Collingwood spent a lot to get him, and they haven't really utilised such a big asset when they're also in the race for guys like Zach Butters and Matt Rowell potentially in the coming years when they could have used those draft picks.
Houston will find his place. There's no doubt about that. But he has definitely been hidden a bit in the back line. Maybe he's dealing with an injury of some sort. I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely noticed that on the Thursday night. But again, not too worried. I like you trying to critique us when we're 7-2, but I think you're trying too hard to critique us. I understand that you're looking at past history, and I believe as a casual outlook for an individual or a fan, they would believe that, there's, Collingwood flying at the moment. They're probably predicted to be premiers, no problems over there. As a fan, I think we're all content at the moment. We're not getting ahead of ourselves, especially when you've gone so deep into finals in the past and you've recently won a grand final. Like, each week, it doesn't matter how you do it, where you do it, you just got to get it done. You got to tick off the wins, get through the season. You got to start peaking at the right time towards the end of the year, come finals time. I would say, as a Collingwood fan, I'm content, but I'm not overly excited.
Okay.
So I don't think we should be getting ahead of ourselves, because what you said before, Melbourne. I remember you saying that you were getting bored of the year, like Shag. Yeah. That Melbourne started the year 10-1 in 2021. 10-0 in 2021.
22 when we choked in the end.
Yeah, and then Sydney last year. Of course, they would have been predicted premiers halfway through the year. So, I like it, but I think.
I'm just saying because everyone kind of beats on teams when they're down and Lords teams when they're up.
No,
so
that's what I'm saying.
just trying to be a student of the game.
Yeah, but I don't think it's all there in terms of the.
That's
critique.
fair enough.
It's hard to critique teams that are winning.
It is, and I'm trying.
There's few flaws.
Yeah.
So
I'd be on your side if it wasn't for that comment about your fantasy players.
No, but that's where it stemmed from.
No, I know.
It was this motivation. I didn't know where he was going with it at first, but then it was this motivation to look into it more and.
It's good. I like it, and I agree. I always try to look at teams who are peaking. Brisbane's probably an outlier. Like, every 5 years, you're going to get that one team who wins the flag from nowhere. But the years before, Geelong, back-to-back 2021 was Melbourne. They won their last, 15 of 16, something crazy. And Geelong the year after was very similar. And it's about peaking towards the end. Like, if you're peaking this early, you could get found out a little later.
100%. And how often does first place win the grand final?
Pretty often.
Really?
Three out of the last 4 years.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not really the point. It's more so that the ladder right now doesn't necessarily show the final picture.
No, definitely doesn't.
From the fans, there wasn't much. I just asked what the favourite game was. I had a lot of responses for North Brisbane, and Zach obviously liked the Hawthorn game. Sam, Geelong Giants. I probably think the Giants game was the best game.
It was good the whole game.
Yes,
well.
high scoring.
Anything?
What about the showdown?
No, I didn't have any questions. Yeah, I We didn't really catch much of the showdown.
Was
just
it
the
you?
start.
Was it you that said is Never Tear Us Apart washed on Saturday night?
No, I don't
think it wa-
think so.
No, you said it's counterintuitive.
This is what Harry said, I
Oh.
think. Well, no, it's not. Harry didn't say this. I said it last week.
And you asked Harry as a source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Is
mean
he-
by that?
No, Harry said it got him up for the game.
Yeah.
Whereas like Port here at every home game, it probably has the value of it has diminished. Whereas the opposition team probably love it.
So there would have been a lot of Adelaide fans there. Like, do you reckon they just put their scarves
Yeah, they
up
did.
as well?
We watched it.
Oh,
yeah, they all put their scarves up. So they would
I'd
have been more
love to
excited
go
than
to a
Port.
showdown.
Sit on the hill, get around it.
Checkers was DJing at halftime.
Was he?
Yeah.
Doss's deliberation for the week, and I had a couple of questions, and like everyone's gonna be saying this in the media this week. Like, should there be extra time after the draw? And I didn't really want to just have that boring question. And I've got another one which could be equally as predictable. Will West Coast win a game in 2025? We've asked the question probably every year with North Melbourne and Richmond when they haven't won a game to this point, and they always end up getting a win.
Not just one. Richmond on 3. It's round 10.
Yeah. Well, when I put that video of Richmond, and I love how every time they win a game, I just get comments flooding in.
Right.
But it
Richmond
is
fans are wearing their scarves at uni. I saw,
Really,
yeah.
they're proud.
Really?
But West Coast not so proud, and they were very close against Richmond at the G. I feel for Tom Gross, but I feel like it's going to be a moment for him where he looks back and talks about it when he's a gun player. So I think this could be a real learning curve for Gross. The coaches' votes are out, but before that, like, who do West Coast beat if they had to win a game?
Are you going to tell us? Or
No, it's a genuine question. Like,
They always.
they got St Kilda this week at
You
Optus.
saw how close North got to Brisbane, correct? There's the bottom team always wins a game. The last time a bottom team didn't win a game was 65 years ago.
Wow.
Fitzroy, 1964.
Yeah, that is right.
So
They
if
play
history is to
St
tell us
Kilda.
something, the bottom team usually wins a game. Who do you think will be against?
Well, it has to be at home. I don't see them winning away.
It'll be an unpredictable one that no one would have guessed. It just always happens. Like
I
who
could
they
see them
got
beating St Kilda this week.
So this is an interesting one.
where at home.
At home.
Yeah,
They
I
could
was
beat
saying
St
they
Kilda.
could.
Why not?
They could. So they play North at Hands Oval, which is in Perth. Remember how North sold a couple games to Western Australia?
Yeah.
Harry once sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
Harry once explained the level of talent in that, like when you look at the level of talent in the AFL, everyone is so much closer together compared to the level of talent in these local leagues where you see teams get flogged every week and not win a game. So I remember his argument was that the team, the believe it or not, the two teams versing each other each week could go more either way than any other amateur league in Australia, just because the talent is so much closer together. And I think that's a good point as to why the team always wins a game. The bottom team always wins a game each year, and that's why I think West Coast will win a game. I just don't know who against. I think it will be someone unpredictable, not a bottom.
Because they play St Kilda, they play North, they play Melbourne, they play Richmond again. There's definitely going to be chances. They just look so uninspiring right now. I spoke about match winners with North. Like, who's going to win a game for West Coast? Harley Reid's probably not doing enough to get them across the line.
Who'd they beat last year?
They
They
beat
had
Freo.
Elliot Yeo and McGovern and Barras and
They beat
Reid.
Freo in the Derby.
Yeah, but that's when they had all their senior players firing. They don't really have that.
Get McGovern back. Yo's replaceable.
Tim Kelly's been so average.
It was very interesting.
He's playing
Tim
forward.
Kelly. He didn't get a centre bounce,
Yeah.
and then he was off when the game was on the line, on the Pine.
On the Pine, nice.
Yeah.
Line on the Pine.
But those, we can pick the team soon, but those key guys have to stand up. I think with Richmond, everyone got overawed in the media, writing them off, Chase doing his skincare and then saying they won't win a game.
Yep.
But, how did we miss that they still have premiership players, Vlosten, Broad, McIntosh, Nankervis, Lynch, Hopper and Taranto to add to the experience? Like, when you've got Backman with triple premierships, that's a lot of experience. You only need a few, and that will set your whole team up. And that's how they have the 3 wins. I reckon Vlosten's been unbelievable.
He's been very good. I didn't think Tom Lynch would be playing much football because he just hasn't over the past 2 years, and I think that's a few goals already there for Tom Lynch.
Yeah,
that
even
keeps
if
him in
he's
games.
not marking it, but it's more like broad. Like that's great. Like I don't know how we thought of they've lost.
They won 2
Bolton.
games last year and lost all those guys.
I know, but like I just like I'm annoyed. Like it was the media.
Yeah.
I think like when you get consumed by it. But
All
so
right.
who are they going to be? I'll say they'll beat St Kilda this week.
I reckon they'll get Richmond on the
round, you know?
like 5 weeks or something. Oh no, sorry, that'd be way too close. In like 7 or 8 weeks, they play Richmond again at home. I think they're a completely different side there. Anyway, let's not be silly. Dean, have you got one?
Yes. Let's not be silly. Fix the bye rounds. So we're about to head into the bye rounds, and honestly, for me, it's hard to think of a more frustrating part of the AFL fixture. Starting from round 12, we're dragged through 5 weeks of compromised football. First, 4 teams have a bye, then 2 teams, then 4, then 4, and 4 again. This completely disrupts the flow of the competition, weakens the product, and frankly, I think it's pretty embarrassing. The most frustrating part is it can be fixed. Are you ready?
Yes.
My proposal. Instead of stretching it over 5 weeks, we introduce one clean break during rounds 12 to 13, a full bye round, no teams play.
Here it is.
But to do that, we first abolish opening round. So you move round 1 to where opening round is, because we don't want to add an extra round. And then we fill the calendar with something meaningful. We showcase the under-18 Marsh AFL National Championships.
4th time this year's mentioned it.
Vic Country, Vic Metro, South Australia, Western Australia, the Allies, all playing on the centre stage. No eyes on any AFL matches, just watching the best talent in the country go at it.
No, I agree. It's like Juniors All-Star game.
Because right now you have niche audiences of either recruiting managers or hardcore footy nuffies watching under-18s. No one else. You don't know any players. And the next generation receive no attention. And I look at like sports in America, like college football, March Madness in the NBA. Like, you know so much about these guys coming through and you're so excited. Whereas for football, I hadn't seen a Sam Laylor highlight until a week before the draft, and he went pick 1 in a super draft. I also think Cal Toomey, without Cal, we would not know a single player. Like, there's not enough coverage, and this would enable everyone to understand who's coming through and get hyped about the draft, especially for teams at the bottom. Like, Chase, you'd be more hyped if you had a championship.
We didn't have
during
a
the
we didn't have a first round.
year. Like,
pick.
knowing you had a first round pick. And
Richmond would be. They got North and their own pick.
my last point is it restores the true integrity of the AFL fixture. With every team having a break at the same time, no club gains an unfair competitive advantage by facing a fresh or a fatigued side. Geelong don't have to worry about that they're not good after the bye. So let's not be silly, boys. One clean bye week, more under-18s footy, and fix of the true integrity of the AFL fixture.
Dean, I can see you're very, very passionate about this. You ever thought about sending a letter to the editor?
Ready to the other altar?
I'd help you out. Send it out to the AFL, CC to a few, other people in the department area.
Sign a
that could-
petition.
yeah.
I will. And I thought about it logistically.
Even though you're 0 of 1 of trying that. But
Yes. Under-18s tend to be at school. So rounds 12 to 13 is not during school holidays, so it's not ideal. So during school holidays would be in betweens round 15 to 16. When some teams do have a bye in round 15, so it may not be too late. Because I've also thought, like, during school holidays,
around 15, 16 is good. It's like 3/4 through the... When is that?
start of July,
June,
end of June.
Yeah.
Also, if you... Hang on. What was your proposal for the match? Is it a state game or is it just an all-star game?
Like tournaments.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking, like, if you can sell out a game or get a big crowd to one of those games, and
You're not going...
no, but I'm
there's
saying
no
if you can somehow build that up and get a crowd like a 20, 30, even 40,000 to one of these games, it prepares these young kids for the AFL by having that many eyes on them, And I think that'll be for the betterment of their first year, coming into the season and not being overawed by these massive crowds, which probably is a factor.
Yeah, you got to build the hype, make it free. I remember we went to Harry's Vic Metro game, the grand final. There were probably about 1,000 people at Marvel. It was empty.
Zero atmosphere. Though.
The other
could hear
weird
them
thing with
speaking.
under 18 football, and we noticed this when we were following Harry, is that everyone's there for an individual reason. So Sandy will be in a close game, and the crowd atmosphere is at a complete zero.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not fans. It's like
it's
friends
weird.
and family.
It's really weird. But
Yeah.
I reckon I'd get down if they said, all right, no footy this week. It's the under 18s carnival. Like, not only would I get down, but I'd see it on my feed. I'd see a highlight. Start to just have it in the back of your mind. And then when Cal Toomey comes out with his phantom, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I saw that guy do a few things.
Nice.
Clip it, send it to the AFL, and see what they can do about
AFL.
it. I've got it.
Yes.
Let's not be silly. I was
Here we
thinking
go.
about it.
He came in hot today. I
It's
told
niche.
Chase.
It's niche, fellas. It's niche. All right. Mr. Fill-in, Braden Sire, got suspended for playing basketball with his friends, I believe 4 years ago. He got suspended by Collingwood, correct?
Correct.
Josh Giddey, 5 days ago, went down to Frankston to play in his friend's local team on a Monday night, and he was moving at 50%, which I'm sure Braden Sire would have been as well. You know, you're not going to be silly about it. You're gonna be careful. So my question is, why does someone like Josh Giddey, who is worth $30 million over his 4 to 5, maybe even 2 to 3 years, why is someone like Josh Giddey not getting in trouble for playing basketball during the off season, whereas Braden Sire is? I understand Braden Sire wasn't during the off season, but Josh Giddey is a much more valuable man than Braden Sire. So it's a bit of a weird one. Why does Sire get suspended in the AFL, but Giddey, there's no talk about it?
Wait, 2 questions. One, was Sire on the injury list at the time? And was it
That's a good
during
question.
the season?
I believe it was
Yeah.
during the season, but if he was on the injury list, then that's fair enough. But I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. One of the more interesting 28 game
Yeah. Imagine
careers, Braden Sire,
imagine
but-
if Giddey had gotten injured. I know it's very slim
Yeah.
the way he was moving, but
He did
It
say in
looks-
an interview he shouldn't have played.
Yeah.
After.
yeah, I think it's fine. To be fair, these guys in basketball, it's very different to AFL. You can't just show up to a rec league game and footy. But in basketball, they do. You see every off season these pro athletes going out at a Drew League game or just a practice scrimmage in New York with one of the trainers. You see LeBron doing it. You see Harden. You see Paul George. But there was one year where Chet got injured for the entire season playing in the Drew League game. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, bit of a throwback to Braden Sire. Hope he's doing well.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, it was a very interesting 28 games. My last one, silly, is a little bit of a extension from last week. Speaking about Kane Corns, and I said, just because you're right doesn't mean you're right.
It really resonated with me. I don't know why.
Okay.
I liked how you said it.
Yeah, well, I'm using the same sentiment on the media, and in particular Sam McClure over his coverage on Clayton Oliver over the past week. I don't know what's happening with Clayton Oliver behind the scenes, and maybe Sam McClure does, but just because you're right doesn't mean that you should be putting out so many headlines when Clayton Oliver has decided to take a week off for mental health. Sam McClure, the information that he has, either he's accumulated over the past few weeks and was waiting for a time to deliver his story, or he heard that Clayton Oliver was having a week off and then went and chased the story. This is not the time where you go through this story. Like, I understand you need a bit of context for a story. Like, you can't just, if Clary has a good game, you can't just say, oh, he's frustrated. Like, you kind of need to build on a bit of context. But this wasn't the context that was acceptable in this case. Clayton Oliver had the mature decision to take a week off. He's not playing his best footy. Doesn't mean you go to the media and say, oh, this is why Clayton Oliver has mental health challenges. I don't think that's right, and I think it's very hypocritical when you've got Spud's game on the same round and there's a lot of talk about mental health. This was not it. I understand the media about, oh, is he going to play against Hawthorn? Like, even the doorstep interview when he was on the train, like, I understand that. That's what the players sign up for. But when someone's asked for a bit of privacy and has personal reasons, I don't think that's your chance to go and say what those personal reasons are. So Sam McClure and any other media outlet that is not considering some of the ethical considerations when these players take breaks for mental health, let's not be silly. And I spoke to Cal Toomey the other year, and he said that, like, is there ethical considerations? He said, yes, definitely. Every journalist would say that. And I'm sure there's some considerations, but you need to be more considerate. Agree?
Yeah, like, I'm sure if you ask Sam, he would say, oh, yeah, I take it into account, whatnot. But does he? Like,
Yeah.
do you?
Because he
Really?
didn't.
He didn't.
And like I said, like, even if Sam McClure, his stories are 100% right, just because you're right doesn't mean he was right. So, round 10. Big round last week. Let's get to the tipping. And we have a double winner. So, round leader and overall leader, Giddy Swatlow.
Wow.
I feel like I've seen this name a lot in the tipping. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, he gets 8 with a margin of 7, and then overall leader at 61.
Tough week to get 8 as well.
Super tough, but I think you get the free tip with the draw. So Ian Roak as well, up there with 8 for the round.
Oh,
Omer, Sasha did very well. And I don't know, maybe our Bet Hebrew.
Could be, yeah.
Dosso's sidekick. Shout out to Dosso. She'll be
Shout.
listening.
Yes, she will be. Giddy Swatlow so leads at 61, as does Jake Gobby's Robel with 61, but Giddy has him on margin. So
Love to see Robel take the chockies and get a cool North Melbourne prize.
And Noah Matner as well. He'll appreciate the shout out. He's third with 60, and then a couple of other Dean, Jenna, and Gino in the top 7. That's pretty good.
Family.
For them. Yes. Eden Cohen slips down to 11th, unfortunately. But then Dean is 76th, and I'm 81st out of 101. So
don't listen to the experts.
don't
on
listen to
anything
what
we
we're
say.
about to say, but we'll try. So let's go over the games for round 10.
I've got him up here.
All right, Cups. I haven't not looked at the game, so
Here,
you try, Dean. Nah, that's the wrong round.
The Bailey Smith Cup.
Okay,
Gold Coast
Thursday
also.
night footy.
Sorry, I was looking at the wrong round.
Jack Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw, Mitch Hallahan,
Yep, good.
Campbell Brown,
Nice. Jago O'Meara.
Jager. Yeah, good one. I feel like there's
Fourth one. Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of movement. Real bit of movement between these two
Gold
clubs.
Coast's coach.
David Hardy.
No,
Yeah.
the other one.
Oh, Stuart Jew,
Stewie
Yeah,
Jew.
Yeah, if you will.
if you will.
if you will. Any more, Dean? Glitch ground for Gold Coast in Darwin. TIO. Not sold on either of these teams, so I don't really know
You got to pick
who to
one.
tip. And you do have to pick one. That's
You
the point of
actually
tipping.
don't. As of last week.
Nah,
After the draw?
I'm gonna tip Gold Coast over there. But expecting a lift from Anderson and Rao. I mean, both been very quiet.
Yeah, I'm going to tip Gold Coast.
Yeah, I said before, the Suns undefeated in Darwin.
Okay.
I'll do it again.
Monotone.
Dean, take us to the next game.
Okay, Sydney Carlton, Friday night, SCG. Big game here.
Very big.
Jeremy Laidler Cup.
Yes, George Hewitt,
Yes.
Andreas Everett,
Good.
the germaphobe. No, he was a germaphobe,
Yeah,
and
he
he'd
was
like
a
he'd do when he kicked the goal, he'd like pinky touch. No,
Yeah.
like he'd touch
Really?
with the fingers. Yeah.
What
Which
would
is
have
so
happened if he kicked a
weird.
goal after the side?
Well, like what about every time he tackled someone?
Yeah.
You're probably like, ugh.
Had to get the trainer had to bring out the hand sanitizer after each goal. Any more, Dean?
I'm thinking. Brodie, chip in here if you
Nah,
want.
lad.
Jeremy Laidler's good.
Tips?
Tips. I'm about to go tips. Last mental space for a
I'm going
cup.
to go Sydney.
Sydney.
Sydney. Don't trust Carlton away at the moment.
Yeah.
Big game.
All right, Saturday, Brodie, we be there. Collingwood, Adelaide.
No, I won't
Is
do
that
that.
footy?
120.
Unfortunately not.
So we'll go cups first. So Mark Keane.
Ben
Yep.
Crocker. Andrew Cracker, rest in
Rest in
peace.
peace. I'm forgetting his name. Anzac Day medalist, winger,
Paul
concussion.
Seedsman.
Paul Season. And
Billy Frampton.
good
Nice
team.
team.
Good. Good.
Good.
Collingwood, Adelaide.
MCG.
This is just
Nah.
crying out for a close game
Nah.
and controversy.
Isaac Rankin running too far.
Running too
How
far.
about a fire
The
alarm?
the fire alarm in 2021. The non-high call on Dawson. And I reckon Adelaide are just...
Don't do it.
I'm going to tip him. I'm going to tip Adelaide. I reckon they really want this one. Like, they've come off the showdown. That's a big game, obviously. One of the biggest. But I reckon they really want this one, Adelaide. At the G, they've got a lot of history with Collingwood here. I reckon they want it a little bit more. And potentially this is the game that Collingwood get found out.
I'm going to tip the Pies and Chase. You'll be my net. Let's not be silly for next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to join Chase. I think he's influenced me this podcast. Adelaide.
Okay. I also feel like I need to tip upsets. I feel like I never tipped the upset. So, yeah, I wanted to make a bold call there. Port Geelong.
Quinton Narkle.
Yep.
Stevie Motlop.
Nice. Forward.
Francis Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. There's a forward. Lira. No, Radagalier. Not earlier.
What?
I said Radagalier.
Yeah.
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 Radaglia.
No,
I
that's
know.
correct.
I said earlier. I meant
Earlier. Radaglia.
yeah.
Crazy.
Forwards. Tall forward.
Tall forward.
No? Maybe Radagalier is the guy I was thinking of.
That's pretty good. We got 4.
Yeah, tips.
Yeah. We did get a few. Tips.
It's in Adelaide. I'm going Geelong.
Port.
I lost last week. They're not
I'm
gonna
going
lose.
Geelong.
Port on the rebound.
GWS Freo.
Goo Hogan. Jesse
These-
Hogan.
Yes.
2 4-15 games, or do my eyes deceive me?
Oh, fixture fanatic altar. 2 4-15 games on a Saturday.
They're taking the piss. That
That's
can't be right.
ridiculous. Why? I just don't get it.
Check Footy Live.
And 2 great games as well. Let me check. It's right. It's 2 4-15 games.
Just don't understand it.
That's ridiculous.
Dean's going to be writing another letter to the
Letter to the editor, Alter. Cam McCarthy also rest in peace. So you said Goo Hogan
Jesse Hogan. Yeah, I didn't hear you say it.
and
Oh, there's more.
Cam
Come on.
Sutcliffe.
Yeah, it has to be
no,
a
that's
legit
Port.
That's Port.
Come on,
Wait,
come
then
on.
Then I'm missing. I don't think there are heaps, Dean.
Matt DeBoer.
Yeah, that's good. Matt DeBoer.
Tommy Sheridan.
I was about to say Tommy
that's
Sheridan.
the one I was
then?
thinking of.
Yeah.
Sheridan.
Cam
They come as a
Sutcliffe.
duo.
Yeah,
The Matt DeBoer and Tommy Sheridan.
They do.
that's good. He'll like that one.
Really?
If he's listening, he will.
Okay. Shout out.
Speaking of listening, Crom.
Yeah, Crom. Yeah, got around the TikTok. So made their year and got them the win over
Yeah, that was us.
Port
I'll
Crom.
give it a bit more. Like, people may not understand that.
Oh, just the video about the gorilla last week. Said that Adelaide would take down the gorilla and provided some analysis to it as well. And the people got around it, including the Adelaide Crows admin. So they reposted as well, which is kind of them.
Yeah, very good.
That people loved it.
Remember when Jared Lyons got around the car?
Yes, see Jared Lyons. Any Jared Lyons got? No.
Any Jared.
All right, let's tip.
There's going to be one. GWS.
10 Diamond Zungu.
Yes,
Yeah.
Dean.
Yes.
Freo.
GWS.
Freo
GWS.
clap.
Giants.
Right,
Essendon
and the
Bulldogs.
lone Saturday night game, Bulldogs Essendon.
Can you bit of Caldwell, Fraser, and Davidson?
Stuart Cramery.
Yeah.
Yes. Weird kind of teams. 2 Marvel tenants.
We
Essendon
need Dosso to make an
Bulldogs.
AI that automatically generates cups for us.
Yeah. Not sure how you'd commercialize that, but Essendon
No, just for our own
Bulldogs.
private use.
There's definitely some that we're missing.
Come on.
You said Cramery.
I feel like I've been in a good headspace.
Josh Dunkley almost went
Yeah, I
to
thought of
Essendon.
that. Yep.
Because their trade. Oh, this is hurting me. Any top-up players? That's really going to hurt. I don't know. Anyway, shall we tip?
Yeah.
Going the doggies.
Yeah, Dogs. I reckon they'll flog them as well.
Dogs.
Yeah. They once kicked 21 goals in a row against Essendon
Oh,
at Marvel.
yes.
Oh.
Sunday, 110, Richmond North.
Oh, gee, we really bigged up Sunday footy, and I'm looking at these 3 games, and I'm not sure they're going to recreate what we just had. Richmond North, you got Robbie Tarrant.
Robbie Nahas.
Bit of Robs, bit of Robbies.
Connor Menadue.
Very good. Kind of manage you.
I'm telling you, I'm on. Other than
Okay.
that, Bulldogs.
What's another one?
Oh, there's a recent one.
Recent one, in what way?
Callum Coleman Jones.
Yeah,
Zombie.
Good, Dean.
Who are we tipping?
North. I'm
Yeah,
tipping
I'm
North.
going north.
Yeah. Come on, North.
Come on, Harry.
MCG. Harry. Only played there a handful of times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Melbourne, Brisbane. I'm wigging out here, actually.
Brent Maloney.
Yeah, Brent Maloney's good. Tom Fullerton, Stephen Martin.
Harry Sharp.
Sharp, yeah.
Sharp. I like the look of him.
Nah.
You know.
No,
Okay.
he's a runner.
only
He's
saw
a
that-
sub. He's a
He's
sub.
a runner.
Okay, I only saw that goal.
He's a good
player.
super sub, but like
Striker.
full game, yeah, I don't know about that guy. So yeah, you said Brent Maloney.
Who are we tipping?
Martin. I'm tipping Brisbane, but a little bit of a danger game for them, just because they're kind of getting away with shit at the moment. I mean,
You get them at their.
But don't you
when
think the
they're
North,
firing.
that was a
Yeah.
scare for them?
100%. They're
yeah,
going to
they've
come
been
out so
scared.
hard.
I don't know if they will. Like
They're gonna
Chris Fagan, like early in the season, like sprayed Brisbane. They had a good second half. Then the next week they were just like average again. I think there's a bit of they're susceptible to small forwards. And Cozzy Pickett, the last 2 times he's played Brisbane at the Gabba, has kicked 10 goals.
Hopefully that's against you, Brodie.
Yep. So watch out for Cozzy. I'm going to tip Brisbane. I don't think we can match them for 4 quarters at all. But just a bit of a watch.
Okay.
I think this might be closer than people
Yeah, I
think.
think you're right. Brisbane by
Sure.
60.
Brisbane. Last one, rounding us out. West
Ugh.
Coast St Kilda.
Bo Meister and
Who?
Tom Hickey.
Tom Hickey.
Oh,
yeah.
Tom Hickey.
No, I don't know any others.
I don't know.
West Coast St Kilda. This is a yuck game.
You know, after all the hype we gave to West Coast before, I'm gonna tip him.
Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, I
Brodie.
said I'd tip him.
Why not? Kobe
Okay.
did it last week with
Yeah,
North.
can we just comment another guest?
I did. Did I not? Oh,
No, you
I
didn't.
I
Like
said it in
another
my
guest
head.
comes on and
We
just
get
schools
8
us.
of 9.
schools us in tipping. Well, you went for North.
Yeah.
Tipped the upset with GWS, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm tipping St Kilda. I'll stick with the Saints. Any last words?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Well played. Well executed with Let's Not Be Silly. Brodie, you done well again despite the lack of watching footy. So you've gotten away with another week. Thank you for listening. And Dean, good luck for your surgery, operation.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, Dean.
Hopefully, I'll be here Monday. I'm not sure if I'll be speaking.
Yeah,
but-
we'll see.
And next time,
Sit
maybe
on
I'm on the podcast. Maybe I'll be a bit more uplifting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
We can have you on the cuck chair anyway.
All right. Peace.